Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal truth that there's no such thing as coincidence or mistakes, and we are here to share our life experiences on that with you. My name is Deb Miller,
Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Doyle, and we
and
have somebody else today.
Hi, guys.
who
Thanks
do
for
we
having me
have?
on again.
We got
Yes,
Kristen
Kristen
again. She's
Dean.
back at it.
She's with
Yay.
us one more time. Well, one more. You're going to be with us a lot more during this year, but
Yeah,
um,
best believe.
yes, indeed. Um,
So we
but
have to tell all the listeners, just truth be told, right before we hit record, we were talking about
What?
bingo.
Triscuits? Oh, bingo.
So bingo, we went from me shoveling in a stack of Triscuits because I was hungry, but didn't have
Mhm.
time to make anything, and ended with bingo.
Yeah, that I'm going to be playing bingo on Wednesday night with the
Oh, well,
residents.
you need that little pen thing because you got to shake it. Do you get a rabbit's foot?
What little pen? Oh, my fluffy
Your
pen?
little fuzzy pen that bring him too.
Where's Chuck the duck? This is a
He's
different
Yeah,
over
duck.
where
on the
is Chuck the
bed.
Duck?
Yeah, he's on the bed. He's resting. I kicked him off the bed last night. I woke up, he was on the floor.
Chuck the Duck is maybe getting a bug
Ooh,
on the
George and
bed.
Sandy are gonna hear
Woo!
this. You're gonna be
Listen,
in
Oh,
George and Sandy expect this
trouble.
out of my mouth
Yes, they do.
at this stage of our
They
relationship.
sure do.
Not much
This
has changed since I was 14.
right,
potty
indeed.
mouth.
Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
I got
God
one
for
of those.
that.
Always. It's so
Um,
funny because my husband says to me all the time, I am shocked, he says to me, that you have not been punched in the face for your mouth. I said, no. And it has been
What?
like this my whole life. I have been just I have always been snarky. I have always been sarcastic. I've always just kind of run my mouth a little bit. And
yeah,
Nobody
but
better punch you in the face, though,
I
for a
know, I'm like,
swear
no,
word.
like I don't come from places where people punch you in the face. They just tell you, like, they just walk away. They
Yeah.
don't like what I'm saying.
but you can be snarky and sarcastic, but it's funny. It's never
Funny.
like, I
I
mean, you're
am
not gonna
funny. I'm
be
never hurtful. I am not
rude to
hurtful.
people. Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
not gonna
hurtful.
be rude to people. Um,
No.
yeah, so you learned how to behave yourself.
You grew up in Avon,
Maybe
for God's
maybe
sake.
he just wants to punch you in the face. Maybe that's why he's saying that.
Maybe. Maybe
He's
he
like,
just doesn't appreciate my type of sarcasm.
Right.
Maybe he
Oh,
doesn't get it.
well, we do and we love it. So
yeah, we
keep it
love
Thank you.
you.
coming.
Thank you.
Um,
One of the things I first loved about you, Sue, when I met you this summer.
yes.
I'm telling you, like on the tongue, out the mouth, I don't really have a humongous filter. You definitely always know what you get, what
Hmm.
you're getting,
Or where you stand.
or where you
Mhm.
stand. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, this is an important conversation that
Public,
we're going
ser-
to be having.
uh, I was
What?
gonna say this is an
Public
important
service
public
announcement.
service announcement.
Public service.
All right. I'll be quiet.
No. I just want to say that, what we're going to be talking about today, because the holidays are here, they're knocking at our door.
Mm.
And a lot of people during this time have a significant hard time staying away from drugs, alcohol, food binging, all the things. We are spending time with family or in social situations. A lot of people that brings on a lot of anxiety. For those who are in recovery, we know that this is a tough time of year. So we thought we would talk a little bit about relapse prevention for those of us who are in recovery. And also, just in general, how to keep control of yourself, even if you are drinking or using drugs to get through being with your family. I don't know.
Family. Yeah.
Um,
Well, what I find too, I think, to kind of because I am not in recovery, nor have I ever used alcohol or drugs to get through things. Maybe that's part of my problem.
maybe you should start.
You should
Maybe I
try.
should start, but it's it's like I think to start you need to give yourself permission to, have a hard time with some people, even though they're family. Do you know what I mean? It just because they're your family doesn't mean you shouldn't be feeling these feelings, right?
Hmm.
But then just be, awareness and aware of what you're doing, um, whether it's, unhealthy, you know, overeating or getting super anxious before or making, wanting everything to be perfect, which then spirals into this whole other conversation and that kind of stuff. So,
And also I think it's important, we touched on last week, like letting go of trying to control things or trying to control the outcome of things, because
hmm
we don't have control over people, places, and things, what they're going to do, what they're going to say. All we can control is how we react to them. I do want to bring this up, like, so you just mentioned being aware of oneself. And for those of you who do like to have cocktails, whether it is excessively or not, just remember how annoying people can be when they're really drunk around, especially around sober people. So keep, check yourself so you're not irritating other people. It's not about us being irritated by others. It's we can irritate others, so
hmm
you have to really be self-aware of the way that you're behaving, the things that you're saying, the
Put
whole
yourself
lot of
put
it.
yourself in the shoes of the recipient.
Right.
Mm.
Right. So
I love
Kristen.
this. So I love this topic so much because when I got sober the first time, I got sober at the end. I got sober 10/28/1995. So right on the heels of all the major holidays, right? Thanksgiving, Halloween, even New Year's,
Mm-hmm.
Christmas. Um, so I had so much trepidation about, I was also young, so still kind of stuck in that partying age group, you know. But having been in AA, I learned all the things, relapse prevention, like you said. The best piece of advice my sponsor ever gave me, and I have an example that I'm going somewhere tomorrow night and I'm still doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Always make sure you have your own car.
Mm-hmm.
Do not rely on people. Don't carpool. I mean, now we have Uber, right? So you could
Mm-hmm.
Uber your ass out of wherever you are.
hmm
But I cannot tell you how many times I was able to leave a situation, because let's face it, just because we get sober, I remember my buddy Steve saying to me, there's one thing I can't do in this world, and that's, pick up a drink or a drug. That's it. I can do anything I want. I can, become the president or whatever, we just can't drink and drug or smoke cigarettes, whatever. Most important thing, have your own car. So I just a quick little story. So my son's boss is a musician, right? And he performs around here at some local bars. And the whole hardware store staff is going to see him. And so Aaron asked me to join. He's like, Mom, I really think you should come and see Vinny. I think you'd really like his music. So I said, okay, I haven't been to a bar, what, in forever. Um, they all know I'm sober, the whole hardware store staff. And these are young men ranging from my son's age, who's 22, and then up to 70. Like there's a group of us. But I said, I totally want to go. If you're going to ride with me, though, buddy, if I have to leave, you're going to have to catch a ride home, or I'm going to have to come back and get you. You're going to have to Uber, because I'm probably only going to stay for one set. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that, I don't want to not go to things,
Right.
parties, Christmas parties, work parties, hang out with friends, go to a bar, go see someone play music. just because I'm not drinking, that's the only thing I can't do. I can go do whatever the hell I want, but
Right.
I always make sure I have my own car. I'm always like, I will make sure I went to a meeting last night. I'll go to a meeting tonight. I'm going to a meeting I'll have meetings in the bank. I'm going to be good to go. Sit with people, you know, swilling their beers in Southwick,
Mhm.
like it,
Oh my
whatever.
God, are you going to the Westfield Brewing Company or something like that?
Oh no, it's,
Oh,
I think it's the Southwick Inn. I'm not sure.
oh,
I
okay.
think I went there many years ago when I used to drink
Okay.
because we would like go to local bars and stuff to just to check the scene. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a listen, might find me a nice country Southwick man. Never, never know.
Well, I do love what you said because it's so true. First of all, I always take my own car.
Yeah.
There's been many times when Kevin and I will drive together and then I leave and he Ubers home because when I've had enough, I've had enough. But it's so true that just because we're not drinking or under the influence of something doesn't mean that we still enjoy going out and being around other people and doing social events and going to bars and restaurants and all of that. It's
Right.
just, yeah, that's not taken away from us at all. But you do have to be in a really proper mindset to put yourself there because if you're not spiritually, your spiritual tank isn't full, it you can be taken down
The other
significantly
thing
if you're in a place like that.
I think too, like obviously my son knows I'm sober, but his coworkers, one of the women already asked, is it okay that your mom, they're it's good to have people in your corner that you're out with, who, like if you're going into a situation, a party where no one knows you don't drink, it's kind of like, we start to think, ooh, I could get away with something here.
Mhm.
That's, um, but I think it's good to have a support network too, like, yes, Kevin likes to do his thing, probably stay a little later than you, but he would, he's on your side if he saw something
Oh
you,
yeah.
like whatever. But yeah, that car thing, and then the other thing, and this goes true for like, so we talked a little bit about family, this
Mm-hmm.
time of year, like so my mom is now deceased, which alleviates a whole level of stress around the holidays. That's awful to say, but how many people
I
do?
applaud you for saying it out loud though, because not a lot of people have the courage to say it out loud, but
Yeah, yeah, it's
good for you,
what a difference.
really.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
What just Thanksgiving was just like so it's so chill. Everything's so chill
Yeah.
now. It's like my family has shifted completely. Um, but you know, it's hard for people that don't want to be around certain family members. They're mirrors, they get annoyed, like whatever. I think um also too, and again, this is kind of like program or whatever, it is so important to have a support network that you can
Mhm.
talk to, like friend group, family, whoever, whatever it may be, therapist, like, I have to go spend time with family. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how many people do we know that stresses out beyond belief?
A lot.
I think it would be easier to find people that less people that it doesn't stress
It
out.
doesn't.
Do you know what I mean? Like the scales are tipped in that direction for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I also think, everybody, but more importantly, obviously, we're talking about drugs and alcohol but everybody's needs to have a really good plan in place when you're triggered,
Yes.
whether
Plan.
it's a person, whether it's a situation, whether it's being around substances, is Yeah, I mean, everybody, it's a trigger. And what are you going to do? How are you going to react when you're triggered?
Right. Yeah. And I think about the people who have eating disorders who
Mm.
are surrounded by so much sugar at this time of year and the cakes and the cookies and all the thing, the pies and whatever, and just the carbs. Like that's a lot for people
Mm.
who struggle with that.
Hmm.
And it's a drug to them. I know that I'm completely addicted to sugar. I mean, I just
Same.
love the
Sweets,
pastries and the
cookies.
sweets and all of that. Yeah. So take that away from me, and I'm not really looking forward to the holiday cheer because
Yeah.
then there's no alcohol, there's no drugs, and take away my sugar, and I'm going to be a sad little girl. So, um, we have to keep that in mind too. And let's just talk for 1 second about what really drives families apart this time of year is talking about politics.
Oh,
There have been countless amounts of people that I've spoken to that say we just can't talk politics because it just will,
Yeah,
it
I
creates a
think I
firestorm.
think that speaks to, setting boundaries before you're triggered. It is
Hmm.
okay to say
mm,
to the room full of family, these two topics are off limits. We're not talking
Hmm.
about this. It's too volatile, close to home, whatever you want to call it. But um, yeah, it
the
goes
rule.
back to awareness, and it goes back to being able to, stand up for yourself and
Hmm.
not put yourself in a position where you're going to get triggered.
Right.
I
Like,
gotta
like I'm,
say,
oh, go ahead, hon.
you sure? Okay, so like I don't even. My whole family agrees we're slanted the same way. I don't. I don't even want to. I don't want to talk about it anyway. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
just don't. I don't find it a happy topic to talk about. Like just the state of anything. Like anything politically charged, whether we agree or not, I feel like let's talk about what we're grateful for. Let's talk about, memories. Let's talk about our plans, whatever. Well, like we don't
Yeah.
need to. I just heard this at a meeting. Somebody was talking about this very topic, Deb. Somebody, somebody started at the Thanksgiving table
Hmm.
and that other person went, no, 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 stop. And I was like, good for you, like
Hmm.
you gotta stop it. Like
Hmm.
this is my house. And
Yeah,
like,
and give yourself permission to do that and realize that it's okay.
yeah,
You're allowed to do that.
I so hear what you're saying, and like luckily in our family, we just, it's just not a conversation that we have because even though we're all together, we get ourselves worked up talking
yeah,
about. So we just don't talk about it. However, in an extended family situation,
oh
there
yeah,
are people who love poking the bear and love, just getting people riled up. I know of two people right off the top of my head that do that, and it's awful. And the more you say no, we're not talking about it, the more they get, oh, I'm going to find a way to poke. And that really does happen in families. And if it's happening in your family, listener, where, it just is making you want to crawl out of your skin, you don't have to drink over it. You don't
okay.
have to numb yourself over it. You call somebody who's like-minded, you call somebody who has time in the program, who can talk you off that cliff, and get your ass up and then just go to a meeting, because you're not going to hear that kind of nonsense at a meeting. The meetings that I've been to anyways,
Right.
politics never come up. So
You mentioned too, like that the calling someone, like it's so different now because we all text, but
yeah.
like I can remember like, new sober person. I'm newly sober and I'm going to, I can't remember if it was a wedding or a party or something like that, but stepping aside my sponsor saying to me, just check in with me. Would you
Mhm.
check in with me when you're at this event? And I think that's a great idea. Like, hey, do you mind if I just check in with you and call you and say, hey, yeah, the booze is flowing, but I'm doing okay and nobody's out of hand and nobody's being a jerk, like
Mhm.
just a check in, like especially someone, it's funny too, new people, but I've heard this said so many times at meetings lately. The farther away I am from a drink, the more vigilant I have to be
Mhm.
because we forget, we think like, this is old hat for me. But
Mhm.
like, I think as long as you're doing the maintenance work, you should be good. But like, I can remember calling my sponsor, stepping away, going to get a landline because I didn't have a
Mhm.
cell phone, and just to check in with her to say,
Well,
I am okay.
when I first got sober, you and I, you were my sponsor,
Mhm.
and I was sober on October 21st. So that first Thanksgiving, you made me call you every 2 hours.
Oh my
And
God.
and it was not texted, because then texting was just started. But the other reason, yeah, so you made me call every 2 hours. And it was fine. I was fine because I did not want to turn backwards at that point. I was like, I can't. So, but the reason why it's so important to, when you start with a sponsee, to have them call you is so you
Mm.
get used to the sound of their voice, and you'll know by the sound of their voice if they're drinking or not,
Yeah.
because you've talked to them so many times and
Interesting.
they haven't been drinking, and you'll know the tone of their voice. And then if they have been, you can tell as well. And the other thing was, you want them to get used to picking up the phone and calling you, so that when at the time comes, if they need to call you, they're not nervous about it. It's just second hat calling, picking
Mhm.
up the phone and calling and hearing your voice and you hearing their voice. But yeah, it's so easy now with text, because you can't, if people, if they've relapsed, you can't really tell because you're
No.
not hearing their voice. And guess what? You can tell when somebody's been drinking or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're sober, like, you can tell,
Hmm.
and
So
that's,
that was you sort of answered one of my questions, Kristen, is, I know Deb's 21 years in. Is it easier now to go to a party,
Way.
temptation wise?
Yeah, like that first advice I got, have your own car so you can exit stage left whenever you want.
Yeah.
I wanted to be, you know, when I had this job when I was 35. I think I talked about it. I worked in Terryville at a sign company, and every Friday night they would go to happy hour, and I went with them. I was heavily into meetings. I had been sober 10 years, you know, but when they started acting like assholes, I left. Like
Hmm.
I wanted to be there with them. I liked them. I liked hanging
mhm.
out with them. It does get easier and it gets more like you just, it's like you get a rhythm. It's like exercise, man. You get a rhythm. You're like, okay. And Deb said it, when people start to get stupid,
Yeah.
I better be going
Yeah.
now. Like,
Mhm.
this is really, you guys you're slurring your words. You're telling me you love me. Like, all,
You're
oh,
repeating
Hmm.
stories over and over. They're right in your face. It's
yeah.
like, and that I remember being like that. I remember being just,
You were like
you know,
that, Deb?
oh yeah,
Sloppy
when
and
I was
stupid.
drinking, I would be
Sloppy.
all in your face telling you how much I loved you and oh my God, the whole nine yards. And yeah. So, and it's now, it's irritating to me, but what triggers me immediately to leave is when people start talking louder.
Loud.
The volume starts going up, and I'm like, energy wise, I
Hmm.
just can't handle it. It's like I'm in a vibration, and then all of a sudden it's lifted and it's too high, and I physically can't take it. I gotta go. So, and that's usually, 2 hours into whatever situation we're in. And then I go home and I crawl into bed and I get in my comfy place and I watch TV and I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's where,
Yeah.
and then my nervous system calms down and I'm calm enough to go to sleep. It really does it physically affects me now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
It's
it's
a
super
little bit.
important too to stay in a routine. I think, um, for me to keep my head on straight and make good decisions, and I need to stay in my routine, like not abandoning the things that keep you on track, like waking up early and then doing, all the things, eating breakfast, and whatever it is your, not
Mhm.
abandoning those things that make you feel, I guess, safe
Yeah,
or
you're
on
exactly
track,
right. Because
you
during the
know?
holidays, you're going to get pulled in different directions, and the
Right.
financial stress of it all can also make
Yeah.
you feel overwhelmed. So continue on with a
Yeah.
routine. That's so important,
I'm
and
sorry, Kristen, I cut you off.
No, no,
But
no.
yeah,
I,
I
I was
agree. I
agreeing with
mean,
you.
the routine is the one thing that will always keep me in a good headspace,
yeah.
for sure.
Do you
Do you
notice
celebrate both holidays, Sue? With Hanukkah?
Yeah, when my kids were younger, yes. We didn't do all 8 days of Hanukkah, but we would go to my parents' house for a night or two. But we also had a Christmas tree and did the Santa thing, and we did both. They're very exposed to both.
when we were
Now,
growing up, and so Sue and I were teenagers,
Yeah.
I she was my only Jewish friend. And so on Christmas morning how you immediately after you've opened gifts, you get on the phone with your BFF and you tell
Yeah.
them all
Tell
the
her.
things you got.
yeah,
So I loved when Hanukkah came because every night Sue was telling me a different thing she got.
Oh,
And
it
it
was
was
nice.
like,
I mean, it was a really great mix. It's
yeah.
still hard. I do have to say, Sean, my husband, first of all, his favorite holiday is Halloween. Loves, but then the second is like Christmas and decorating for Christmas, and it's like it doesn't bring me back to feeling any way kind of thing. So that's been a little hard, but
Hmm.
you
yeah,
weren't
we did
raised
both.
with that
I
because you were
wasn't.
raised Jewish,
And
right?
like right, and like there are a lot of people still who don't understand that. They're like, "Well,
Mhm.
what do you mean you didn't have a Christmas tree?"
Oh
I'm
my,
like, that's not a
not
symbol of Hanukkah. It's a symbol
Right.
of Christmas, and Christmas actually is a very, very religious holiday. It's just been
Commercialized.
for
pulverized by
sure.
the media and advertising, you know?
Santa
Mm-hmm.
Claus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I had tons of Jewish friends growing up, and
mhm,
you know, so I'm used to my ex-husband's best friend was Jewish. We would go to Hanukkah, Passover, stuff like that. But then as we got older, divorces happened. There was in marriages and
mhm.
everybody celebrates both holidays. But I liked what you said on the former podcast. So you said you're not a Grinch, but you're just
I'm Grinch light.
you're like a Grinch light. That's what you said. Like, yeah, like you're not, you're like, meh, whatever.
Yeah, like yeah, it to me, I guess, because of my upbringing that like I guess when my kids were little, like we really did the Santa thing, but it's like oh,
Mm.
I have so much nostalgia. And I don't know whether people feel this way too. I think a lot of people feel this way. When I hear I took all the Christmas albums from my dad. When I hear certain songs, it brings me right back to my childhood and I could cry. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
it's so memory provoking, good times, happy times.
Okay, so all right, so let's take that, the memory, like as you guys got older, the memory of Christmas, did it center around alcohol and partying and so like is there something there that's kind of uncomfortable now because or is it just a new normal or
I don't think mine ever, my family, they weren't big. I mean, my mom was a closet drinker. There's a lot of drinking
hmm
in my family. Um, so And I got sober young and then was sober for so long that holidays for me, when I relapsed, my big drinking day was Thanksgiving. I would start drinking in the morning and I would,
Hmm.
like that was my day drinking. But like, I don't, I Christmas to me, it's not like, I feel like the parties, the going out, the
Hmm.
work shit, stuff like that. Like, but like in my immediate family and in my home, it's not like,
Hmm.
oh, gee, a hot toddy would be nice right now. You know,
Yeah.
I'd rather have a Vicodin. I don't know, like it's
Mm, same.
right. But what do you think, Deb? What do you say?
Well, and Sue, you might remember some of the Christmases when we were growing up because you spent some with us. I don't
Hmm.
remember my parents ever, I know that they drink. I know that they love their cocktails and they definitely drink. And so I'm sure they were definitely drinking on Christmas and the holidays. I don't remember any crazy behavior on their behalf. It was really
No.
focused around the kids, and
Hmm.
but my grandparents who lived with us, we had in-law suite in our house and they lived with us. My grandfather was an alcoholic and he would drink and drink and drink and just sit quietly in his chair. You wouldn't even know that he was drunk. And when he passed away, that's when you found all of the hidden bottles and all of the things. And
Was that
so,
George's dad or
yeah,
George's dad? Okay.
yeah, and he was a lovely, lovely man,
Oh,
just very sweet, very quiet. Never, I never saw any kind of side of him that scared me or, made me anxious or anything. Um, so there was drinking going on, but it was never, I mean, the only drinking that went on in our household that was connected to drama was what I brought in when I was drinking as a teenager.
mm.
I would
Yeah,
go out.
I guess that was sort of the question I was asking. What is, was it a lot of it centered around alcohol and drama and like, alcohol fueled family situations and stuff like that.
I mean,
So
I
the answer,
remember
yeah.
coming home one time. I told my mother I was going to the library. Of course, I wasn't. I was maybe 14 or 15, and I had a friend who had their license, and she lived in a different town. And, we went out and we just drank and went to some party in the woods somewhere. And I was just hammered. And I came home and I was crying because, when you get that drunk,
Oh,
every emotion comes out. And my mom was up and she was waiting for me. And I know that I reeked of alcohol. And I know that there was no doubt that I was really drunk. And she didn't say anything. She just said, why are you crying? And I told her, I made up some story. And she said, okay, we'll go to bed and, tomorrow's a new day or whatever. And that was that. And I always wondered, why didn't you call me out on that? Like as a teenager,
mm.
you would
Hmm.
think that and I remember talking to her about it years later. And she said, oh yeah, you were a mess. You came home, you were a mess. And
Mhm.
she said, but, what good would it have been to yell and scream at you? You did it, it was over, and now you needed to go to bed, you know.
Yeah.
But, and me, Sue, I ran away and, I
Oh,
ran,
yeah.
all that stuff. And I caused some significant drama in my family because of my drinking when I was a teenager. Absolutely.
I can
Absolutely.
remember when I got the first time I got really drunk. It was before I met my ex-husband. So I was 15, 16, and I had somehow I gotten a bottle of vodka, half of a bottle of vodka, and I filled the rest of it with orange juice.
Oh,
And I drank like the
screwdriver.
entire effing thing, right? My friend at the time who was spending the night, we were out in the woods in my neighborhood doing whatever. She had to carry me up the stairs. I I can't even get into how sick I was and disgusting and just everything. My dad the next day, not one thing. I'm cleaning up all the laundry from puke and
Mm.
the mess I made. He put me in his car. He had a bunch of errands to do, hardware store, grocery store. Get in the car, you're coming with me. I was so over. And that was, I became an alcoholic and a drug addict, but like that event for me was like, how people in AA will say, I wanted more of that. No, 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 no. I did not want more of that. I wanted to perfect that, dumb it down a little bit so I didn't want to get sick. I didn't want a hangover. I always try to chase like just not so sick. But
The
but
perfect,
yeah,
yeah.
my dad didn't say anything to me. He just dragged my ass
Mm.
on all his
In
Saturdays
the car.
in the car. I was so sick. I can still, he had like a big old Oldsmobile, and I was like, laying on the back of the seat, like, God, please help me. It's awful.
Back of the Oldsmobile.
But Sue, it's
Yeah.
funny because same thing. We should probably get back on the subject of relapse prevention, although I think we gave some good tips and everything.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, you and I, Sue and I grew up together, literally, did all the same things, did all the same drinking, the experimenting with everything. And mine got away from me, and yours
Yeah.
didn't. Maybe,
Yeah. I
but I think
mean,
it turned up in a different way.
for sure. I mean, for me, it was by the time I was legally, quote unquote, at 21, able to drink, I was over it. I didn't
Mm.
like the way it made me feel. I didn't, did I did I get drunk or drink after the age of 21? Absolutely.
Hmm.
But the partying, you said something about the loudness, all like people bumping into you and
Ugh.
spilling I was like, I was over it.
Hmm.
Um, but what's interesting is I think what ended up happening, and this is obviously looking back on it as an adult, I did not like the feeling of being out of control.
Mm.
So I did not ever do drugs. I was deathly, maybe I smoked a little pot once in a while, but not even maybe, I think it's actually a couple of times. And I never, ever, ever tried anything else. I was deathly afraid of it. Like I would not even take cold medicine.
Mm. Kristen, she
And
could not have hung with us.
I mean,
no,
she
She could
totally
not have
would have.
hung.
I mean,
I
isn't
did
it
not like
funny?
that feeling of being out of control. And I wasn't a blackout. Like I was never one to black out and wake up the next morning going, oh my God, what the fuck happened?
Mm.
I was not like that. But what ended up happening is I took that disdain for not, feeling out of control and
Loss of
flipped
control. Yeah.
it to having an eating disorder and an exercise disorder and being, you know, for
So
what I
controlled.
perceived like hyper in control.
Hmm.
And then I did not drink. I stopped drinking when I got pregnant with my son, and I was like, I think it was 26. Probably didn't have I am telling you, not a drop of alcohol passed my lips till late 40s, maybe 50.
Wow.
Wow.
Not a drop.
So
I mean,
and
I
that's
was that in control. I did
yeah.
not want to, you know what I
Wow.
mean? Yeah, it was crazy.
Calories, Sue, or was it
For
just
sure,
okay?
for sure it was calories, but I didn't really admit that to myself till later. It was just, I always felt like if I'm hungover, I can't work out. If I don't feel good, I got to put in, you know what I mean? It was a very scientific equation for me.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah.
I didn't like the feeling of being drunk and out of control either or hungover. And I think that's why I found I liked the pills so
Pills.
much
They
because
were
it gives
great.
you, yeah, it gives you
Right.
the high, but not the hangover. But what happens is you can't stop after you start. You can't take a day off or 10 hours or 5 hours off. After a while, you can't even get by an hour without needing more
Hmm.
just to
Yeah.
regulate yourself and feel like a normal human being. So,
So here's a
um,
little pill story I'll share with you kids, a new recent pill story. This is so this is so on topic of what you were just talking about. So my dad recently had some dental work done. You know where this is going. And my dad respects my sobriety, but he doesn't understand the disease. Okay. So
Which I have to say a lot of people don't.
they don't. And that's,
I mean,
that's,
especially of his generation,
Yeah,
yes.
agreed.
I remember,
unfortunately.
like people in my own age group too, like not understanding the severity of the disease,
Mm-hmm.
and how, but it ultimately it's my responsibility, right? So my dad doesn't understand it, but he's talking to me about, so they did this dental work and they gave me some antibiotics and some mouthwash and they gave me these pills. I think a drug addict would like them. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. And so he goes, oh, I'll never take them. I go, Dad, why did you fill them? Because Deb, you know where my head's going. I'm going, he's got these hydrocodone in his house, 6 or 10 of them. So I'm thinking, I wonder where I put them. I wonder if I could just take one. But then I thought, like they say, think the drink through, think the drug through. What am I going to do with 6 pills? I got to take 2 at once to even get, I mean, probably not now because my tolerance is probably way down, but like those, when I quit taking pills, I was doing 15 to 20 pills a day, and I've talked to people that did way more in a day. Like, what is that? What are those 6 to 10 hydrocodone going to get me? They're going to get me bye-bye
In
4.5
trouble.
years of sobriety. Then I'm searching, I'm still chasing. I got to get more, like the think the drink through, think the drug through.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that kind of speaks to have a plan, that when
Have a
there's
plan.
something that is tempting or triggering, you need to have a plan, i.e. the your own car or an exit strategy or some sort of a phone call. It speaks to just having something in place.
Yeah. Telling on yourself too.
Right. And even telling somebody the plan.
Yeah.
Like, please hold me accountable, or please know that you're the number one on my list, you're number two on my list, you're number three on my list. If 1, 2 doesn't answer tonight, for me to call you if I'm triggered or if shit gets real or whatever,
Yeah.
The other thing
And
too,
so,
you can always say no, like I
yeah.
don't, if people feel like they're putting their whatever if it's food, if it's drugs, if it's alcohol, if it's family, they all can be triggering.
Mm-hmm.
We have every right to just say, you know what, I can only stay for an hour, or or I
Yeah.
can't come, I can't do it, I have something else on that day, or whatever, or just no, no is a
Mm-hmm.
sentence, right? No, period. No, thank you.
No is a sentence. Yeah, and actually, and the other thing too is giving yourself permission to do that. So for me, when I used to go into parties or where there was going to be, a tremendous amount of food or whatever, I would just say, like, it kind of worked in reverse for what, you know, would work for an alcoholic or an addict, but it would be like, okay, I'm going to give myself permission to try some things and eat some things, and it's okay because I had, like, my routine up until that point was set. I felt good about, you know, and it's one meal or it's one day or it's one and I just again, that was part of my plan. I would go in saying, okay, I'm going to have dessert or whatever it was. And it quelled the anxiousness that would come with a situation like that because I had already sort of talked it out with myself.
Mm.
and given myself permission. And the same thing, for an alcoholic or an addict is, you know, talk to yourself about your plan. This is what's going to happen if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. And you kind of just give yourself permission to leave, to call somebody, to not go,
Mhm.
to stay, focused on what matters most. Because the holidays, the blip on the radar screen,
That's
Right.
right. And you don't want
you
to throw
know?
your life around or your
Yeah,
sobriety off.
exactly.
And
Exactly. Because that's really not what the holidays is about. I mean, it
Mm.
is about coming together as a community and being grateful or spending time with family. And if family is your trigger, then it give yourself permission to not spend time with them. It's okay. Just because it's Christmas does not mean you have to spend the day with toxic people,
mm,
Amen.
and go to a
you
meeting.
know?
There's always meetings during the holidays,
Yep.
24/7. There's
Agreed.
alkathons and all
Alcohol.
these things. And then you're surrounding yourself with people who are sober. They understand the stress that the holiday can bring. And you're in a very spiritual place where you can connect with other people on a spiritual level or sit there quietly and just be at peace or serve coffee or whatever, be of service. There's a million different things. And once
Mm-hmm.
you get yourself out of that situation and into a safe place, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it
It makes
does.
all the, and
It
you're going to
does.
show up and you're going to all of a sudden, there's going to be a newcomer that comes in that you're going to be able to help. That is just white knuckling it through the holidays, and you'll be able to help that person and they'll be able to help you. So you're
You
never alone.
There's a woman in the program. She's struggled a lot. She's been in and out. And, we talked about calling and texting. And she was never my sponsee, but I knew her and, went to visit her in treatment once. But she's a big texter. And she called me the other day to just say, hey, are you going to a meeting? And it's kind of like that accountability. Like I'm accountable to her. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you doing tomorrow night? What do I saw her last night. I go, what are you doing I'll definitely see you Sunday, whatever. It's just kind
Mhm.
of, I don't want to let people down. So you talk about, you know, I, when I drank, I did not eat a lot of sweets, right? When I quit drinking, Deb, you said it. I, I have an addiction to sugar, like
Mhm.
for sure. And I have a tendency, I talk to many people in the program who switch addictions,
Mhm.
like we
Yeah,
talked about
it's
this
okay.
before, sugar. Like I went
Mm-hmm.
to a Friendsgiving last weekend and there's food and there's just food. Like I give my permission. I don't track anything. I just
Mm-hmm.
like fucking free for all, man. I just eat.
It's okay.
But
It's all
like
right.
I think to myself, alcohol, it's abstinence. Food, you can't abstain from food. You have to
You
Right.
can't.
eat.
You
It's
can't. You have to figure out your relationship with it.
so much more to me challenging,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the conversation is there. Again, and sometimes when you're triggered, the conversation gets a little louder. But, you brought up a point about being accountable in yoga. It's, we call it being up to something bigger than just yourself.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So you may have the plan in place, but now think of the bigger picture. Somebody may need you as a lifeline
yeah.
or, sharing with the community at large to make it's like a ripple effect,
Yeah,
right?
being of service.
Yeah.
And you have to be in the
Yeah.
right frame of mind to be of service to others.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be under the influence or
Correct.
just eat,
Correct.
a whole carrot
Correct.
cake and now you're like, I
Yeah,
feel
like I
like
have
shit
to,
and I don't
right.
want to help somebody because I feel like
Right.
shit myself. Like, yeah,
And you
you
don't want to
gotta,
be a fraud either. You don't want
right.
to be an imposter. You don't want to be fraudulent in your conversations and what you put out in the world because that'll just come back and bite you in the ass, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We were also talking earlier about, before we got on, about people that we knew from high school in our age group that have died
Mm-hmm.
from alcoholism,
Mm-hmm.
just drank themselves to death, literally. And it's like,
Sad.
I don't, um, like I was saying to you girls before we started, when I got sober this time, I was 51 and I was feeling my body and the I was feeling that I was slowly killing myself. I could
Yeah.
feel that. And that
Mm-hmm.
to me, what in the hell? I don't want to do that to myself. I mean,
Yeah.
like that, I don't know. I'm in an age group now where I can't screw around.
Yeah.
Well, not only that you were in an age group, I think too that you think more about, the mark you want to leave on the world when you do end up going, as my
Well,
mother
what
likes to say, expiring.
exp- like
I
a
haven't hit my
package of
expiration date yet,
like a
she says.
package of meat.
Oh,
I've expired.
she sounds like
Um,
a hoot mother.
what
She is pretty
I,
funny.
when we were talking about that earlier, and we were talking about how sad it was because, the few people, we know a lot of people, but they, they're our age or younger, and it's like, oh my God, they were so young. But think of how many years their life was over way before they expired.
Oh, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Yeah.
Because living in the disease of alcoholism or drug addiction is no party. It is not a good way to live. You do not have a good quality of life. You are fighting every single day to just be able to function through the day. And you are everything that you're ingesting to allow yourself to function is breaking, it's killing your organs, it's deteriorating your insides and your brain. And so for you to get to the point where you pass away from the disease, you have been in a really bad place for at least a decade prior.
You've been the living dead.
The living dead,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right. And it's not fun. It's not like we're
Yeah.
out there like, hooting and hollering it up. I mean, we're fighting to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some people end up losing their life to it, and others end up getting the help that they need and sticking with it and being able to sustain a sober life. It is not easy. It is very difficult. And it is very difficult when you're a sober person to be surrounded constantly by people who drink, and people drink in society all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you got to give grace to those people who were really, it's a struggle. I'm
Yeah. And I
21
think,
years in, and I still, I white knuckle it sometimes. I really do. Sometimes I'm just like, I feel like I am living on an isolated on an island by myself sometimes. I
yeah.
really do.
Yeah, I think, to bring it back full circle is, it's vigilance. It's being willing, it is the willingness to ask for help. It is the willingness to communicate. And I think, it takes a level of honesty with yourself to be able to do that and leave a situation or say no, because that is a full sentence, and to protect yourself so you can be of service in the world,
Mhm.
you know.
You got to want this, man. Like it's not, if you're, I don't know. When I decided to get sober and be sober and take care of myself, I was serious. Like it wasn't, eh,
Hmm.
maybe this, maybe that is part. So it's serious when I
Right. So when
want to
you're
be
saying I'm
vigilant.
taking my own vehicle, you can't feel bad about it. Or
I'm
when
like,
you call somebody, you can't feel, oh my God, I'm so sorry I'm bothering you. Like and that's really what it boils down to is during especially during the holidays, because it's a trying time, right?
Mhm.
Um,
that
just being
family shit.
vigilant, just
That's
Yeah.
vigilant
like,
and wanting it.
yeah,
There's the family ship, but there's also the celebrations that
The
happen.
yeah.
societal shit, it's
And
you're getting it, it's thrown at you
yeah,
in from every direction,
yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
sometimes like, and here's the thing that I found out is you really know the people who really care about you
Mm.
as a human being and genuinely care about you, they don't care that you're not drinking. They are not like, oh, come on, they don't want you to get drunk with them. They're just happy that you're there, and it's
And here's the
like,
other thing, if your sobriety makes somebody uncomfortable,
yeah,
that's their problem. That is an issue with them.
absolutely.
Has
Yeah,
nothing to do with you,
Yeah.
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
But we got to
And
wrap this up, ladies,
okay,
pretty soon.
wrap it up. All right,
Well, I
good.
mean, I
Well,
don't,
I
I'm
hope
the
that
direct sarcastic one, but
Wrap it
well,
up.
apparently I'm also the party pooper.
well, I no, you're not. So this
I'm the
is
hatchet woman.
That's
so
good
I
time.
I know. I just got a Chris, well, we're not going to mention that, but I just got a new position in the job that I'm in as operation. I'm director of operations for this company that I work for, this nonprofit consulting group. And
Yay.
well, yay,
I
but
know.
the reason why I was put in that position was because on our meeting last week, everybody was throwing out these amazing ideas for us. And I said to them, every week I sit here and I listen to these incredible, very creative, amazing ideas. And yet none of them get executed. None of them. And everybody was like, true, true, true. So this week, my boss calls and he's like, we were all so like grateful that you held our feet to the fire because it's true. We need to
Yeah.
have a plan in place. And so we're going to put a calendar together of events, and it's going to be your job to
Yeah.
make sure that we meet the deadlines. And I'm like,
You're
oh,
gonna make them talk the talk, walk the walk
Walk the
that they're
walk.
talking,
I
right?
Yeah.
know. And I said, I'm okay, I'll do that, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, step on anybody's toes or anything. And he said, no, we really need somebody with a whip to come after us. So we'll see how it goes. I
Sue,
don't
you
know
might be
about this
called in as
promotion.
backup to help.
I will be the hatchet woman.
Yeah, Sue, you would have no problem with that. I'm like,
I have been called direct on more than one occasion.
so anyways,
Love you
listen,
girls. This
Good
was
luck.
protect your
great.
Yeah.
sobriety over the
Yeah.
holidays
Yes.
and namaste to everybody. Love you,
Namaste.
sisters.
Love you.